How you doing, everyone? Sandesh here, and this is episode 2 of my podcast, trying to make sense of the world. I'm gonna start off with I'm gonna start off with gaming news. First, let's talk about Warner Brothers games. It's still fucking up, but Warner Brothers apparently cancels unannounced DLC expansion for Hogwarts Legacy, which is for both the PS4 and PS5 versions. This this is this is just too funny. Warner Bros. Gaming division has seen only one major success this decade with Hogwarts Legacy, which is widely regarded as the best Harry Potter game to date. Um, Building on this strong start, developer Avalanche Software had plans to expand the game with additional content. However, those post-launch plans have now been scrapped. An unannounced DLC and a definitive edition were in the works for Hogwarts Legacy, but both have now been cancelled. Um, Hogwarts Legacy was a smash hit and a dream come true for Harry Potter fans. To be honest, I'll say this: I have not played it yet, but it seems like it wasn't just a. It did. You didn't have to be a Harry Potter fan and to like Hogwarts Legacy because um of what I came across, because I know someone who's played it, and even they said you didn't need to be a Harry Potter fan to really like Hogwarts Legacy, because it was just such a good game in general. Um, since its release, fans have been waiting for more content for the game. However, Warner Brothers cancelling the DLC expansion will be disappointing for them. Um, and them cancelling the DLC, to be honest, for Hogwarts Legacy is a really stupid decision, because considering that Mortal Kombat 1 has been such a failure, and the fact that Hogwarts Legacy has been such a success, that you would think that would double dip, and I think, you know what, let's put out the DLC. Why not put out a definitive edition, knowing that people would want to buy that. This is just just really stupid, and just turn down free money. According to a new report by Bloomberg, the DLC expansion would introduce brand new storylines for the game, and it was planned for release this year alongside the game's definitive edition. The decision resulted from Warner Bros. Gaming division reconstructing just last month, which also caused the cancellation of Wonder Woman. The cancellation of Wonder Woman makes absolute complete sense, because we saw nothing, we heard nothing, and I heard it was going to use the same game engine as Monolith used for Laws of the Fallen, I think it is. Yeah, and from what I heard, it was just not going to work whatsoever. Um, didn't feel that the considered price for the new content was justifiable for the amount of content. The definitive edition and DLC are suggested to be part of the director's cut that was planned for the game. Being developed alongside Rocksteady, the DLC expansion was said to add a cut storyline tied to one of the characters from the game alongside new features. Following such setbacks, Warner Bros. Is fully committed to Mortal Kombat and Hogwarts Legacy as a franchise, with a new sequel planned and marked as a big priority. The thing is, I mean, you can't just rely on Mortal Kombat and Hogwarts Legacy. You're gonna have to come up with more than that, and also on the fact that the news that Rocksteady is working on a brand new Batman game, and we all know that's not gonna come out until, and that's not gonna be a PS6, maybe a PS6 launch game, or maybe even longer than that. I mean, look how long Suicide Squad took to come out. I mean, that took a really, really long time to come out, especially after Arkham Knight. So the thing is, the fact that they're fully committed to Mortal Kombat, which, by the way, Mortal Kombat 1 was just a failure, and they're still committed to that. Honestly, they need to put Mortal Kombat on the back burner and do a new and do a new in Justice game. I don't know why they don't, especially with the fact that they own especially because of the DC characters. So it's just so fucking stupid, just so stupid. I just don't get it. I'm gonna get to the next gaming article. These are from Tech for Gamers, by the way. Okay, Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics is the latest studio to face layoffs. Being profitable or suffering from losses doesn't mean anything since almost every studio in the gaming industry is currently prone to layoffs. Crystal Dynamics, which is known for developing the Tomb Raider games and the infamous Marvel's Avengers, is the latest studio to cut down its workforce. I'm just gonna have a drink. Hang on a second. Sorry about this. Okay. Here we go. And the infamous Marvel's Avengers is the latest studio to cut down its workforce. Layoffs are never a good sign for studios as they can substantially alter and affect a video game's development. Sometimes they can even result in game cancellations. Um, Announced via social media, Crystal Dynamics is letting go 17 members from its workforce. The studio was estimated to employ approximately more than 250 people in three offices across the US. However, they also stated that this change wouldn't alter their current project plans. While still a relatively small number, the 17 employees layoffs were most probably to cut down operating costs. The developers haven't released a AAA game since 2020's Marvel Adventures, which was an utter disappointment and a commercial failure. Embracer's group acquired Crystal Dynamics in 2022, along with the Tomb Raider IP, and they are currently developing the next game in the franchise. Moreover, the next Tomb Raider game is also being developed alongside Amazon, which is collaborating on the project. Amazon will publish and fund the game globally. In 2024, Embracer Group laid off 8,000 members across several studios, but the Amazon Games studio head ensured that Crystal Dynamics would be sheltered by these practices. However, his words haven't aged that well. In addition, the studio is working as a support team on Perfect Dark, the reboot of the classic Agent series. Even if the studio's own words imply that the layoffs won't affect their projects, the long run plans may be altered as they always have been, given the studio's history of layoffs. Okay, look, layoffs is not a good thing, but the thing is, I mean, I know that Marvel's Avengers came out like 5 years ago, but the thing is, to this day, I don't know why they were told to make a game like Marvel's Avengers because for the most part, I've heard people. I haven't played it, but I've heard people say that it really was not good at all. And I'm gonna say this: that Tomb Raider game, it's not happening. It ain't happening. I don't even think it's even gonna be a PS6 game. I reckon. I reckon. Give it a few months or whatever, or give it next year, and they're gonna end up saying that it's been cancelled. I could see more layoffs coming, to be honest. And I just don't know what the hell then Crystal Dynamics are gonna do because to be honest, they might as well just they might as well just cancel it and just work on another game because the thing is, I think deep down we all know the next Tomb Raider is not gonna happen, and even if it does happen, I get the feeling it's not gonna be the type of Tomb Raider game that it should be. Um, because deep down, I'm actually more excited about the idea of another Uncharted game than another Tomb Raider game with Dynamics on honestly, and the fact that Embracer Group are involved and Amazon Games, so I reckon them two corporations will probably tell them to put stuff in there, which is not Tomb Raider esque. Honestly, I'm most likely wrong, but I just get that feeling. Um, Again, I'm gonna get into the next article now, and it's about that piece of shit company, Sweet Baby Inc. The CEO says games need AI that prioritizes diversity and inclusion over profits. Oh, fucking shut up. Sweet Baby Inc.'s co-founder and CEO, and Kim Baylor. I think that's how surname is pronounced, but you know what? I don't fucking care if I got it wrong. Recently mentioned that the gaming industry needs an empathetic AI that can prioritize inclusion and diversity over profits. Well, the thing is, there's going to come to a point if profits don't matter, then what's the point of games being made? Because these games are being made by corporations for the most part, and they're going to want to see a return. I mean, I, the D, DEI is just nothing. It's just nothing but a. It's just nothing but a fucking. It's just nothing but a cancerous fucking. Um, it's just nothing but a cancerous idea, and and arseholes like Sweet Baby Inc. Don't help. Um, Many gamers have criticized Sweet Baby Inc.'s CEO's words since she wants to use AI to promote controversial DEI elements in games. And besides, with the failure of that was Suicide Squad, which, by the way, Sweet Baby Inc. had a hand in. I mean, why would any other game company want to? Why would any other game company want to listen to a word they say? I mean, all they're gonna do, I mean, they're gonna be paid their fee, and if the game fails, I mean, they don't lose out as far as they're concerned. They just don't. As reported by Variety, Kim spoke at the GDC 2025 conference, where she clarified that shareholders often get all the credit instead of employees who make the game. But the thing is, even though that's true, what makes you think that even employees want to implement that type of nonsense? It's because I guarantee you this: the whole DEI thing. Yeah, I guarantee it is most likely forced from the shareholders, from the suits. It ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be the employees' idea, because at the end of the day, the employees are not in charge of the money. So anyway, Sweet Baby wants to use AI to diversify voices in games instead of replacing them. Um, in other words, Kim wants the industry to stop focusing on profits in game development and instead pour its resources into storytelling, inclusion, and empathy using AI. But the thing is, you could do great storytelling, and if you're going to do inclusion, then do inclusion on where it's not forced, and with the games on which Sweet Baby Inc. were involved with, it was clearly forced. Look at Mortal Kombat 1. That's another one that Sweet Baby Inc. were involved with. And look what Mortal Kombat 1 ended up being. Um, Gamers interpreted her words as using AI to promote DEI elements in games further, because that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what their goal is. Additionally, games that do not focus on profits and instead use AI to increase diversity serve no practical or beneficial purpose for massive studios. Users across forums have also argued that AI cannot be empathetic by logic and only perform commands at it commands at it is asked to do. That's the thing, because AI programs, or AI in general, is just nothing but a program slash operating system that was created by humans. Where you type in a command, that's what AI is. Um, I'm gonna get into some wrestling news now. Um, Apparently, another name is looks like is being reportedly discussed for the Hall of Fame this year. Um, I'm reading from Wrestling Inc. On, on the evening of April 18th, pro wrestling fans and figures will gather for the 2025 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. Um, which emanates from the Blue Life Theatre inside the Fontainebleau Las Vegas Hotel. Inductees in this year's class include Paul Triple H Levesque, Michelle McCool, Lex Luger, and the natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon. Per a new report, another name may soon be joining them. According to the Acco- according to the arsehole that is the Wrestling Observer newsletter, take this with a grain of salt, but I hope this happens. WWE has discussed the possibility of adding Ken Shamrock to its Hall of Fame palette this year. As of now, though, nothing has been made official. I hope this does happen, though. Shamrock spent 2 years under the WWF banner as an in-ring performer, beginning with his debut in the early months of 1997. The following year, the world's most dangerous man bested the likes of Kama Mustafa, Mark Henry, Jeff Jarrett, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson to claim the throne in the King of the Ring tournament. Shortly thereafter, Shamrock captured even more gold when he defeated X-Pac in the finals of the Intercontinental Championship tournament. In his 125-day IC title reign, Shamrock successfully defended it against Blackman, Billy Gunn, Mankind, and others. At the same time, he briefly reigned as a WWE Tag Team Champion and lost alongside the Big Boss Man. Shamrock left WWE in late '99 to return to the MMA world under the Pride Fighting Championship banner. Last year, he confirmed via Insight with Chris Van Vliet that he still considers himself to be part of the WWE family, so much so that he signed a Legends deal with the company. Now it appears that a Hall of Fame induction could follow. See, and all this, this just shows you how much of the piece of shit Vince was. That the thing is, Vince did that just because Ken Shamrock didn't want to do an incest storyline with Ryan Shamrock, as wrestling storyline, and he was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, right? Vince held that grudge against him, even not to put him in the Hall of Fame. And the thing is, for all these years, we were led to believe, oh no, that was Triple H, that was Triple H. What happens when Triple H? What happens when Triple H became in charge? He brought Ken Shamrock back, and he's bringing back all these people, which we never considered were going to happen. I mean, not too long ago, Demolition. Now Demolition are back with the company. I've also heard a rumor about the Demolition that it's not going to be a twosome that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I heard it's going to be all three of them, which I honestly think is the right decision to do. Have Crush be in the Hall of Fame. Have Crush go in the Hall of Fame with Demolition. Why not? He was part of Demolition. Um, but yeah, Ken Shamrock should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad he's with a Legends deal as well. It's good to see Ken Shamrock again, and he also had notable matches with like Shawn Michaels and that. If you watch '97 of WWE, I'll tell you this now. The latter part of '97, that was a really good year for Ken Shamrock. And then 98, and I would say it got a lot better in 98 as well. So yeah, it was only towards the end that it got pretty bad for him, and the whole Union storyline pretty much made no sense. And I get the feeling that the Union storyline was only there for Vince to take the piss out of unions, because obviously he does not like Vince didn't like unions. To be honest, even though unions are the backbone of the workforce whenever it's um whenever it's America or whenever it's the UK. That's a point of union, so that the workforce gets to have their fair share. Anyway, let me know in the comments if you're if if you're glad if this does end up being officially true that Shamrock ends up being in the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna get into the next one, next wrestling piece of news. Um, Eric Bischoff urges AEW boss Tony Khan to be the better man. Earlier this month, it was announced that former WCW World Heavyweight Champion Lex Luger would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I will say this: even though Lex Luger wasn't as popular as Triple H or anyone, to say that he did not have a Hall of Fame career is utter bullshit because he was part of the NWA, he was part of WCW, even though he had a short time in WWE. But the thing is, he honestly did have a Hall of Fame career. I dare anyone to not look at his time in wrestling and say, nah, he didn't have a Hall of Fame career because he definitely did. And the title package joins the class of 2025 alongside Triple H, Michelle McCool, and the Natural Disasters. But who will induct him has remained up for debate. In an interview with 83 Weeks, Luger told Eric Bischoff that he's currently trying to get both DDP and Sting to induct him. However, with the Icon still under a Legends-esque contract with AEW, many have questioned if President Tony Khan will allow him to make a one-time WWE appearance. That said, according to Bischoff, it would be in Khan's best interest to allow Luger's tag team partner and former rival to appear at the Hall of Fame. The person that wants Sting to induct him um, the person that wants Sting to induct him isn't Triple H. It's not Nick Khan. It's not Ari Emanuel. It's Lex Luger. That's his privilege. It should be. It's important to him. If I was Tony Khan and positioned the way Tony is positioned right now, I would be the bigger man. If I'm Tony Khan and I really believe that, they're the and if I really believe that they're the bullies and they've been beating me up and trying to run circles around me and disrupt my tours and my bigger events, and if I really believe all that, now is the time that I will prove I'm bigger than them. According to recent reports, WWE is trying to grant Luger his wishes of having Sting to induct him into the Hall of Fame, but there is still uncertainty about AEW needing to sign off on the appearance. Every Bischoff makes so much sense here because the thing is, Tony Khan keeps on saying that, oh, WWE's picking on us all, this, that. And the thing is, he just sounds more pathetic the more he talks. He just sounds more idiotic. And the fact is, right, he's supposedly such a wrestling fan that the thing is, to me, he sounds like a Vince McMahon. Honestly, he seriously does. Look what he did to Billy Gunn with the whole DX reunion. He wouldn't even do that. I honestly believe if he did that, he honestly would have bought some really goodwill with the fans because he claims to do all these matches for the fans. Well, the thing is, put your money where your mouth is and do so, and prove it. Just like Bischoff said, be the bigger man. If you claim that they're always bullying you, and they're always trying to take away venues from you. Well, the thing is, prove to the fans, yeah, prove to the fans that that is true, and that look at this. I'm letting Lex Luger have what he wants. No, I'll tell you this now. People will start to look at Tony Khan in a different light if he starts to do things like this, and he won't hurt AEW at all, and anyway, because it's gonna have nothing to do with AEW creatively or any of their matches or financially anyway. So I honestly believe he should let Luger have Sting and DDP in Doctor Luger, but I'll get the feeling that Tony Khan's gonna be a fucking slimy piece of shit and say no, and then WWE's gonna have no choice but to have it be just DDP. I honestly think so, but Tony Khan should honestly do the right thing, because the thing is, let's be honest, their own fans are turning against their show, well, against AEW. I mean, they're walking away from the cult. So the thing is like it's like how much more does Tony Khan need to wake the fuck up? Um. Anyway, going back to the arseholes at the Wrestling Observer. Dave Meltzer weighs in on Soraya's AEW departure. Wednesday was all about Soraya, as she announced her departure from AEW after 2.5 years, then spent the rest of the day talking about it with the likes of Busted Open Radio and Sports Illustrated. The former AEW Women's World Champion. I'm just gonna drink. Hang on. Sorry about this. Okay. The former AEW Women's World Champion was very cordial about her former workforce. I mean, her former workplace, and attributed her departure to wanting to focus on non wrestling projects such as her new book, Hell in Boots, a yet to be announced acting role, and a new podcast, Rule Breakers. But even with all these projects lined up, several have wondered if Saraya leaving AEW could open the door for her to make a return to WWE. That's exactly the mindset Meltzer had while discussing Saraya's free agency on Thursday mornings Wrestling Observer Radio. I don't know, but I certainly suspect she's going back to WWE. He said she still has several months left on her deal. He let Tony Khan let her out to go, so that may be his new thing now. They don't want her to be there. I'll let them go. As most fans know, Saraya has previously spent a decade with WWE working under the name Paige, where she became the inaugural NXT Women's Champion and later a two-time Divas Champion. Her run as a wrestler was ultimately cut short after a series of neck injuries forced her into retirement in 2018. She continued working in WWE as a non-wrestling role until her contract expired in 2022, after which she joined AEW in September. Despite that, Saraya remained positive about her WWE tenure and has welcomed the idea of returning to the promotion down the road. The thing is, what is she? What is she? Let's entertain the idea. She goes to WWE. What is she gonna do? What's she going to be able to bring to the table? I mean, because the thing is now, when you look at the roster of WWE, it's so young. You got Tiffany Stratton, you got Stephanie Vaquer. I mean, just look at NXT. I mean, you got EO Sky. I mean, I just don't know where she will fit, and I don't. And the thing is. Triple H doesn't need that, and I get the feeling Triple H doesn't want her on anyway because she's going to be too old now, even though she's 31. And the thing is, she's just got way too much baggage, on her as well. And the thing is, they did a one and to be honest, when they put her in a non wrestling role, in after her retirement because of an injury, because of her neck injuries. To be honest, I actually don't blame WWE for doing that because obviously they gave a shit about her safety. It was the same with Daniel Bryan, and after when she briefly worked as a wrestler for AEW, what happened? All of a sudden, she stopped wrestling for like it felt like an eternity, and it felt like is she still with AEW because you kind of never really saw her. So I don't know what the hell she's gonna bring to WWE now, because even if she came to WWE, she would have to stand out to make her not look like just just as one in the pack. To be honest, because if she did come back, her initial return will be a big pop. But then the thing is, how you going to still be able to maintain that big pop after the first time? And I don't think they will be able to do it. And I think WWE knows that. So I honestly don't think she is going back to WWE. and it wouldn't surprise me if Meltzer's wrong, because how many times has he been wrong? I mean, he said that Undertaker forced. He said that Undertaker forced out Michelle McCool on that LFG program, which ended up being bullshit because obviously Undertaker doesn't have that sort of pull on that show, and it was obviously the network's decision. It wasn't Undertaker's decision. It wasn't Michelle McCool's decision, and it's become a known fact. So. Anyway, let me know if you think Saray's coming to WWE. Let me know in the comments. Um, I'm gonna get into some news now. Um, well, most likely an article related to news anyway. Um, okay. As we know, in the UK, like it it's getting the UK is pretty much is trying to have you not be proud to be British, which I completely don't understand. If they don't want if they don't want people born in this country to not be proud to be British, and then the thing is, if that's the case, then if that's the case, then as far as the then as far as the flag of the country, you might as well ban the flag of the country, and you might as well shut down all the churches as well. Because let's be honest, I mean, the UK is a Christian country, and anyone will know that. You don't need to be white to know that. Even I know that. I mean, they celebrate Easter, but I'm not sure if that's still happening now. Most likely isn't. Anyway, I'm reading. It's from the expose, and it says it's not racist to be proud to be English. I mean, I'm English. I was born in this country, and I'm proud to be English. Um, anyway, I'm getting to it now. The English have much to be proud of, not British or the United Kingdom, but England. Dr. Vernon Coleman gave examples of achievements by Englishmen. A 2019 survey showed that English citizens were responsible for 4 out of 5 of the world's great inventions and discoveries. Books about the world's greatest thinkers, scientists, artists, and industrialists invariably include more people born in England than anywhere else. It's not racist to be proud to be English. The following is taken from the 2019 book England's Glory by Vernon Coleman and Donna Antoinette Coleman. There is a widespread view among politicians and journalists that praising England and the English is racist. When the Scots or the Welsh talk proudly of their heritage, that is regarded as a fine thing, to be applauded. But when the English do the same, there are frowns and sneers. Schools in England teach children very little about England's proud history. Moreover, there is a strong tendency for commentators to credit all the great things our nation has done to Britain or the United Kingdom, and to describe all the bad things as English. The see, this is why it's so important. If you're in school, go to the library on a weekend, because the thing is they'll have the type of books on which you need to know about British history, or whenever it's American history, because you don't have to learn it at school. And just like it just said here, very little is going to be taught in school about British history. So the thing is, you're probably most likely going to learn the majority of it in an actual proper library. Um, we do not subscribe to these views. England's glory is an unashamed celebration of England and the English, and we believe that the English have much of which to be proud. A recent survey showed that English citizens were responsible for 4 out of 5 of the world's greatest inventions and discoveries. Books about the world's greatest thinkers, scientists, artists, and industrialists invariably include more individuals born in England than anywhere else. Any list of the world's greatest thinkers must include Francis Bacon, John Stuart Mill, um, John Locke, Thomas Malthus and Thomas Hobbes. The names William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, and John Milton, and Daniel Defoe, and Geoffrey Chaucer would head any list of the world's greatest writers. Yeah, William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, I definitely agree. An all-time list of the world's top dozen scientists would have to include Charles Darwin, the father of the theory of evolution. Yeah, uh, Michael Faraday, who gave us electricity and the electric motor, and Charles Babbage, who invented the computer, William Harvey, who discovered the circulation of blood, and some of this I just did not know. I'm really shocked. Joseph Lister, who saved millions of lives by introducing antiseptic procedures into surgery. John Snow, the first real um, epid- um, the doctor who made anesthetics acceptable, Joseph Swan, who invented the electric light bulb, and Charles Wheatstone, who invented the telegraph and the telephone. A list of the innovators and originators have to include George Cayley, the originator of manned flight, George Stephenson, the inventor of the railway, that is major because the thing is obviously that's a major contributor to the economy. Trains are. Um, William Henry Fox and Talbot, the inventor of photography, Robert Hooke, whose list of important inventions would fill a book. William Petty, the father of modern economics, and many, many more. A list of influential politicians would have to include Oliver Cromwell, the father of parliamentary democracy, Robert Peel, who introduced the world's first police force, and Rowland Hill, the father of the post office and the postage stamp. No list of explorers and adventurers will be complete without Francis Drake, Walter Raleigh, and James Cook. Many of the great English achievements have been airbrushed out of history books. School teachers and university lecturers do their best to erase English history from the curriculum. Well, it's no point having education in the country if you're just going to airbrush if you're just gonna airbrush English history out of teaching, that just out of the curriculum. That doesn't make any sense. You might as well close university, colleges, and schools, and you might as well just do that. Because none of it because it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Time and time again, credit for new inventions is claimed dishonestly and inappropriately. It is time for a little proud and joyful flag waving. Um, yeah. So some of that about like as far as innovators, great thinkers, and English writers, I honestly did not know. It was like wow, we really do have a lot to be proud, and also on the fact that see, and I honestly believe this is also a thing to be proud to be British, even though I'm not Sikh, but Sikhs helped fight in World War II. I don't know if Hindus did, but let me know in the comments about in Hindus' role in the UK, as far as whenever it's like building railway tracks or whatever, because the thing is building railway tracks is still honestly important. I mean that's a major contributor to to the country on the country in going about its everyday life and helping the economy. So that was a really good article, and I like the fact that it was like what it just got you right there, to be proud to be English, because you should allow to be proud to be English, and I don't know why and I don't know why they're trying to I don't know why they're trying to I don't know why they're trying to have this attitude of no, 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 no. England isn't really all that. Nowadays, I would agree. I would agree nowadays because the thing is, to the rest of the world, we're just nothing but a joke, and and that's not and that's not the English citizens' fault. It's not our fault, honestly. Anyway, let me know in the comments of what you thought about this article. Oh, and the stuff I've been reading in this video, I'll leave links in the description. The links will be in the description of this video too. Um, the next article I'm talking about is from Expose, and it's about DEI, which began as a tool used by Lenin and Stalin. I did not know that. I thought DEI was a lot more modern than that. I didn't know it was used back in Stalin. It ended in disaster. So too will today's DEI. There's no doubt about it because people are not gonna people are not gonna are not gonna tolerate DEI anymore, and I don't blame them. The Soviet Union under Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin implemented uh, the program which was later repackaged in the West as social justice and diversity, equality, and inclusion. It has also been used to fuel decolonization and movements and racial injustice movements worldwide. Pretty much DEI pretty much is. If you're white, you gotta apologize. You gotta apologize about your existence, about being white, and we gotta push minorities. Now look, I got nothing about pushing minority, but the thing is, don't force it. And the problem with the DEI initiatives, they force the bullshit onto people. Where even me, an Indian, finds it sickening. Um, the aim was and is to break down existing regimes by exploring ethnic and racial divisions. That's the thing. DEI is nothing but a racist agenda. Because the thing is, if you're just gonna pick on a certain sector of people based on their color, then you are racist, and DEI is no different. The ultimate goal was and is to undermine individual liberties and freedoms, and to consolidate power in the hands of communist handlers and sympathizers. Regardless of where it is implemented, the results are consistently the same: ethnic strife, a two-tiered system that favors radicals, and, and degradation of minority communities, and eventual backlash by the majority population, and escalating ethnic conflict, ultimately leading to civilization breakdown and catastrophe. Yesterday, James Lindsay published an essay about Stalin's Soviet and DEI program. Stalin's well, the program set the stage for millions of Ukrainians to be starved to death in the Holodomor. Um, Lindsay began his essay by describing the narrative of a socio-political movement that divides the population into two classes: the oppressive greater power class and the marginalized minority class, with the movement claiming to support the minority classes against oppression and promoting self-determination. This narrative tells the minority class that they are more communal and social than the greater power, and that the movement recognizes and values their agency and autonomy, offering to help them resist the greater power, and raise up leaders among them to fight for their rights. There's nothing wrong with fighting for your rights, but the thing is, I mean, it's like, for example, it's like poor black folks or poor minorities. There's also poor white folks as well, because the thing is, like, for example, it could be where they live. Where they live, it just doesn't get the funding that it needs. You might be thinking that the narrative bears a resemblance to the rationale behind current DEI regimes and critical race theory, which also identify a greater power of oppression. such as white supremacy culture, and promote resistance through DEI initiatives and the selection of leaders from marginalized groups. By the way, I just want to let you know, white supremacy or KKK is nothing compared to how it was back in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and maybe the 90s. It's pretty much not there, and even if it is there, it's pretty much considered a joke now. It's like really, how many white people are gonna want to join the KKK now? And even then, and even then, back then, it was like a niche to join them. Pretty much a small niche. Um, However, this narrative is more or less the one told by communists Vladimir and Lenin and Joseph Stalin to ethnic minorities in the former Russian federations in the 1920s, where the Great Russian was seen as imposing. Great Russian chauvinism on minority groups, and the communists offered to help these groups resist and promote their identities and values. You know what? I'm gonna stop there of this article because I think you get the point on the fact that the true agenda of what about what DEI is, and critical race theory, and the point about it is taking the control away from you, and taking taking away control, and that's what it's all about. It's just nothing about. It's just all about control, 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 control. It's just like with LGBTQ community. You give them a little bit of power, and then you give them a little bit of leeway, and guess what? It's never enough, and it's the same with DEI initiatives, because the thing is, look at it now. That's why I'm so glad Trump is ending DEI initiatives, because they do need to be ended, and I guarantee you there's a lot more minorities that don't like DEI programs, because DEI programs do not push the fact that the theory that hard work pays off, which is true. Hard work does pay off if you just if you do your best, and you really try your best to really strive to be the best. And DI does not want to push that narrative, which it should. Anyway, let me know what you think about DEI initiatives in general. Okay, I'm gonna get into some movie news now. Um, we all know that well, if you know, Michael Mann is trying to do a Heat 2. I don't think it's a sequel. I think it's more like I think it's more like a prequel about the characters from the first film, about Al Pacino's character and Robert De Niro's character. Um, Anyway, there's an update for Heat 2 that has come from Michael Mann. The first film, released in '95, based on the true story of Macaulay, who was a criminal hunted down by police officer Chuck and Adamson, was directed by Mann and starred Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, in positive reviews, and is still revered today. I'm just gonna have a little drink. Hang on. Apologies. Holding an 83% rating from critics and a 94% from viewers on Rotten Tomatoes. By the way, I just want to say Rotten Tomatoes. I just think it's utter bullshit. I don't believe in Rotten Tomatoes, because a lot of reviews on films on on Tomatoes most likely paid off, which reflects its status as one of man's best films. Heat 2 has been in the works for years. Speaking with Vulture, Man has provided a promising update for Heat 2, reportedly acting as a prequel and sequel to the original. Oh, okay, I didn't know it was going to be a sequel as well. Man confirmed that he just finished the screenplay and handed in the first draft. while adding that he has submitted it specifically to Warner Brothers. He said, "Any more than that, I can't talk about, but it's an exciting project." And the possibility of a follow-up to Manson Heist movie Heat, which is now considered a classic, initially came in 2016, when Mann announced that he was first writing a follow-up to his novel. This materialized as a book, Heat 2, which was released in 2022 and warmly received by readers. Then in 2023, the film adaptation was finally announced, with development updates gradually emerging ever since casting, alongside casting rumors. While some may consider that the progress on Heat 2 is moving somewhat slowly, the fact that Man has a strong foundation of a novel is comforting, especially since he co-wrote it himself. Now that the first draft of the screenplay has been submitted to Warner Brothers, developed and development can pick up. This is assuming the studio approves of Man's screenplay. Even then, it may require some rewrites or adjustments. Nevertheless, He Too is now closer than ever to actually moving towards production, which is a good sign. And to ensure that Man's artistic integrity stays intact and that his work remains undiminished, it's important to practice patience when considering his creative process. The endeavor of first writing a novel and then using it to make a movie is inherently difficult, as drafting a novel alone takes a lot of time and work. Even before editing is factored in, Man is essentially repeating this process again with the film's screenplay, and it's only the first draft that has been submitted. That being said, I'm assuming that a lot of refinement was already done when editing the highly rated novel, which the screenplay is seemingly based on. Therefore, I trust the film adaptation of He Too will be something of great value if Man continues this rigorous process. However, it may take fans' patience, which could be understandable for those who really can't wait for the narrative of Heat 2 without the audio visual language of the film. The novel is already available. Now, there's one thing, major problem that's going to be hurting against along for Heat 2. Who do you get for the main roles? Because the thing is, they're not going to be able to replicate on what Robert De Niro and Al Pacino and Val Kilmer, and I would also say Tom Sizemore did as well in that film. I don't know how you're going to be able to replicate that, because really, in a way, you can't replicate that. I honestly, a part of me feels that doing a Heat 2 is sort of a bad idea, and that it should have been left as a novel. But at the same time, with the failures of Warner Brothers that's been going on, and we all know what's going on there, right? They seriously, I honestly seriously think that they need to look at making other films, maybe like Heat 2, to bring to hopefully bring in revenue, but also at the same time, what also work on original stuff as well. Bring out original films, because that's what people want. People want original films, because as we've seen for the past 10 years, right? When sequels are brought back from franchises which are like 10 years later or whatever, they don't exactly work out, because it just does not feel the same, and you can't replicate that fresh feel which you had with the first film. You just can't. So we'll see what happens, but I just don't know I just don't know, as far as actors go, who they can get and where people are going to get excited for them. Or wait, get excited for this film. Anyway, I'm going to get to the next piece of movie news. Disney reportedly wins bidding war for Scorsese gangster movie that unites DiCaprio, Emily Blunt, and The Rock. And Disney has reportedly won the bidding war for Martin Scorsese's upcoming gangster film set in Hawaii. The film is set to feature A-list stars including Emily Blunt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Dwayne The Rock Johnson. The project has previously been described as a riff on The Goodfellas, which will see Johnson play a ruthless Hawaiian crime boss. The character is based on a real-life person, reportedly Wilfred Napi Pulawa, and is set in the 60s and 70s. That is true, because And when I first heard about this news about The Rock playing an Hawaiian gangster in the 60s or 70s, I thought, who was this? Who was this about? And then when I looked into it, and it was like, yeah, it was based on an actual gangster back in the day. Per Deadline's initial report, with the Hollywood Reporter providing additional details, Disney has seemingly won the bidding war for the Scorsese movie. Specifically, Disney's 20th Century Studios division will produce the project. The full details about whom the studio was competing against in this bid were not revealed, but the Hollywood Reporter noted that the untitled Scorsese film managed to avoid landing on a streaming platform. This marks the second upcoming Scorsese project to be tapped by 20th Century Studios. The Disney subsidiary also nabbed The Devil in the White City, an Eric Larson book adaptation also set to star DiCaprio, that will create an active working relationship between Scorsese, DiCaprio, and 20th Century that has the potential to greatly benefit both projects. The studio's acquisition of The Devil in the White City also likely helped him win the Gangster project. The closure of the bidding war is also generally a good sign of the movie progress. While the film still lacks a title and release date, the strong studio backing is the first step in moving forward on the project. Scorsese does have two projects in the work, so it will be interesting to see what Disney and 20th Century end up prioritizing in the production process. But for now, any forward progress is good news for the work that is still very much in the development phase. This deal will be an exciting return for Scorsese. The director worked with 20th Century Studios, former 20th Century Fox, on his 1982 film The King of Comedy. Over 40 years and a dozen of Scorsese films have passed since the release, and giving the director a fresh chance to work with the studio. The movie's plot remains incredibly intriguing with a strong cast and studio involved. The movie is bound to be a success. Now, this is the thing, and this is going to be interesting, but particularly for The Rock, because let's be honest, The Rock never acts in his films. All he is, he's just playing The Rock. That's all he does, and even I'll admit it. So the fact that Scorsese is such a actor's director, and he wants actors to really act, is going to be really interesting to see Scorsese. Even though that The Rock is one of the producers on this film, it's going to be really interesting to see um, Scorsese basically said to The Rock, "No, I want you to fucking act." Because the thing is, now you're with real actors now, and you're in an actual film where you have to act. It's like with his film, The Smashing Machine. That film I do want to see because that's the sort of film where he has to act in. He's going to have to rely on his acting. To be honest, I don't even know why that film doesn't even have a release date yet. The Smashing Machine doesn't. Because I do want to see that because I want to see if The Rock can actually act. Because the thing is, I tell you this now, if The Rock cannot act in the Smashing Machine, and then that's not gonna bode well for this film. So he's gonna have to get over his ego, and be like, you know what, I'm gonna take this very seriously. Well, I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. He obviously works hard, because obviously he's an entrepreneur. But I'm just saying, as far as his acting wise, we all know he just plays himself, and I honestly believe that's a major problem he's gonna have to get over. I think someone was talking about when you look at Rock's films of where he was the main star. His films on where he was the main star didn't necessarily gain a profit. They either broke even or they flopped, which is obviously telling, meaning that he's gonna have to get over himself. Anyway, let me know about this if you want to see this film. I honestly do want to see this film because I do want to see Scorsese and DiCaprio again. I don't like it when De Niro's with Scorsese anymore because obviously De Niro doesn't have it anymore, and he's just a fucking idiot anyway. Anyway, I'm gonna get into the last piece of movie news and the final bit for this video as well. Now Christopher Nolan is working on his film The Odyssey, which is pretty much like if you've seen the film Troy. and then you know what to expect from this. Um, and the thing is, Ben Affleck was talking about it, and the headline in this article is, "This is the Born Identity kind of territory." Christopher Nolan's major action scenes in the Odyssey, and Matt Damon's prep teased by Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck teases Christopher Nolan's major action scenes in the Odyssey, and Matt Damon's prep, calling it Born Identity kind of territory. Nolan's next movie, which started filming in late February, is an adaptation of the epic Greek poem by Homer that follows Odyssey, the legendary king of I don't know what that says. On his perilous journey home after the Trojan War, playing Odyssey is Matt Damon, who over 2 decades ago starred in The Bourne Identity, one of the most influential action movies ever made. In a new profile by GQ while discussing his own training for The Accountant 2. By the way, I cannot wait to see The Accountant 2. If you have not seen the first Accountant film, trust me, watch it. It's incredible. Ben Affleck teased his lifelong friend Matt Damon's prep for Christopher Nolan's new film. Affleck says that Matt Damon is doing a lot of stunt rehearsal for the Odyssey, which he hasn't done in a long time, comparing the fights to 2002's The Bourne Identity. It's one of those things I was talking to Matt about. He's going off to do this Chris Nolan movie and doing a lot of stunt rehearsal, and it was kind of like, boy, it's been a while, hasn't it? Where have you read? Where you really have to go to learn the fights. This is Born Identity kind of territory. After his thrilling historical epic Oppenheimer, which made nearly 1 billion at box office and won Best Picture. By the way, I just want to say, Warner Brothers letting Chris Nolan go was such a fucking idiotic decision. I don't know why they let him go for. It just shows you the fucking stupidness at Warner Brothers right now. I'm surprised that Warner Brothers has not come to his doorstep with a truckload of money and say, come back to us, we want you." Because I guarantee you, this Odyssey film is gonna do so much business. It really is. And I gotta admit, I do want to see Christopher Nolan tackle a Greek action film based in that time era. It'd be seriously interesting on how he does that as well. Christopher Nolan has returned to the action genre with his next movie, The Odyssey. The amount of action shall be comparable to some of his past films, such as Tenet, Dunkirk, or even the Dark Knight trilogy. Homer's epic follows Odyssey on his perilous journey home after the Trojan War, as he encounters the Cyclops um, Polymer, Polyphemus, I think that's what it says, the Sirens, and the witch goddess Circe, um, which should result in some stunning action sequences on screen. And the fact that Christopher Nolan does not like to use CGI is going to be seriously interesting how he does all this. And the Bourne Identity is an interesting reference point for the Odyssey's action. Released in 2002, the Bourne Identity is widely considered one of the most influential action film movies ever made. It reshaped the way Hollywood approached action filmmaking in the 21st century, introducing a more grounded, realistic, and intense style that moved away from the over the top um, effects heavy action of the 90s. Nolan, known for his preference for practical effects, combined with his use of new IMAX film technology, can make The Odyssey an equally influential action film. Um, with Nolan's past action movies emphasizing practical stunts and intricate choreography, The Odyssey could blend Bourne-style hand-to-hand combat with large-scale mythological spectacle. The escape from the Cyclops could feature brutal close-quarters fighting, while the siren's deadly song could create tense psychological struggle at sea. Circe's enchanted battle may showcase some magical influence combat with grounded intensity. And Nolan leans into the Bourne Identity's visual action. The Odyssey could redefine epic fantasy filmmaking. Yeah, the Odyssey is scheduled for theoretical release on July 17th, 2026. I definitely am going to watch that one because I really want to see how he tackles a Greek mythology film. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe on this video, and let me know in the comments on what you thought about the articles in this video which I was reading off. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.